Greetings. It's been a lousy last 2 weeks when we talk about race relations, and if you're seeing this after June 2020, this is following the George Floyd murder, yeah, that's what I'm calling it, by the police in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and the fallout for everything that's gone on over the past couple of weeks after that. And I have talked about it on my other channel, but I haven't talked about it on this channel. And I decided that instead of going totally personal, like I did on my other channel, I'm going to turn this into a business opportunity to talk about diversity. Because I'm of the opinion that if your company does not have a diverse workforce, but your community does, that you just aren't doing the thing you're supposed to be doing. So I'm here to offer 6 diversity steps to help companies to recruit minorities, women if that's what's needed, disabled people, or anybody else that will help you to hit your diversity initiatives, and also how to set up ways to train them so they can do the job, and to train them so that they will be eligible for promotion within your company. Because that's really what it's all about. Where it's about fairness. It's about giving everyone a chance if they deserve it, but helping them get to a point where they can have that chance because they have earned the right. So with that said, let's look at number 1. Number 1 is you got to recruit. You probably don't have to recruit women unless you happen to be, well, in certain businesses, you're going to have to recruit women. But in general, it's really mainly minorities and disabled people, and you need to recruit them. When I was an employee, I worked at 2 different hospitals. And the first time I went to HR and I said, we've got some minorities in the community. We should, recruit some, because I was the only one there. And the guy said, that's not my job. The second place, the guy said, it's not my job. I thought it was both their jobs, but at the second place, we at least had some minorities working at the hospital, housekeeping, and in the cafeteria. So I went to some of those folks because I get along with everybody, and I said, hey, look, I'm understanding that there's no one in the community, people of color, who are applying at the hospital. And they said, yeah, because no one's ever gotten the positions. I said, but I got one. They said, yeah, but you're not from here. So what I said was, okay, look, go out, get some people who you think are smart and have some kind of talents, and have them at least apply to the hospital. Don't apply for a position, just have them apply to the hospital. And if I hear of any positions, I will make sure that some of them get interviews for those positions. And so they did. They went out to the community, got some people. People came in. I don't know if the HR director actually knew I had a part in it, but I could have cared less, because what could he do? And I ended up hiring the first minority that the hospital had beyond myself that was not in housekeeping or the cafeteria. She didn't work out, even with the other ideas I'm going to mention to you later on. She didn't work out, turned out not to actually be capable of doing it for other reasons, but hired another one at some point, and then other minorities were hired. And we hired someone who was disabled. She was deaf. But we needed that because there was no interpreters within our area if we had people who couldn't hear. So it turned out that once you got the ball rolling, others came in. So that worked out well. Number 2, if you're going to set up training programs, you can't basically say that everyone's going to use the exact same program. You can say that, but let's face the fact here, we all learn differently. There are some folks who can read a manual and they can learn everything like that. There's some people who need on-the-job training. In other words, you actually have to sit down with them and show them how things work. This is 2020, and yet I'm amazed at how many people don't know how to use a PC. I had a PC back in 1985, and I thought that by this time everyone would know how to do it, but most people don't, which really throws me off. They know how to use a PlayStation, they know how to use their smartphones, but they don't know how to use computers. So you have different skill levels. You have different age groups. So you have to give everybody a chance if you're going to hire folks. If they've never had any opportunity to work on a computer, that's something else you just might have to employ as part of a training program. The idea is to be fair. It's not to go overboard, but you have to be fair. Give everyone a chance to learn in the way that they can learn. Sometimes it does take a little extra effort, and I'm not saying that you go beyond. For instance, if you have your probationary period at 90 days, and within 90 days that person really just can't get the job done, you've done whatever you could, as long as you set up the training programs that are fair. So I've given you one. Number 3, you need to set up leadership training, even if it involves individual coaching or mentoring. Because when I wrote my first book in 2002 on leadership, the stat that I found at the time, which I cannot find now, said that 85% of all people in leadership positions never led anything in their lives before they got those positions. We're not talking about parenting, because it's a totally different thing. We're talking about leadership. You're hired to be a leader. Because a lot of people are promoted based on the work they can do, not whether they can lead others, not whether they can get along with others in a leadership position. So you need to have training. And the idea behind this one is that you don't have to do it specifically for minorities. You need to do it for everybody. But if you do it for minorities, it now gives them a chance to be promoted later on in a company, because everyone is getting it. Now, if you have mentoring, you can add some of your own leaders. If they know something about leadership, actual leadership, you can have them work with other people. Or you can send them out to seminars, or you can find a leadership coach in your area who can help people to learn. It's better that they learn it before you put them in a position, but it doesn't hurt if you need to promote them into a position to let them have someone. Because who doesn't really get a lot of training? People in leadership. They just don't get it. So this is a smart thing. It can only benefit the company. I'm not saying spend exorbitant amounts of money, but I'm saying that it's worthwhile to give people that opportunity, and it can only help your company. Number 4, you need to set up employee evaluations that also look to see who might be showing that they have leadership potential. So what most companies do is they have an employee evaluation once a year. You bring someone in, you talk to them and say, yeah, I think you did this year or whatever. A lot of them don't really pay attention. I was one of those people who, for one of my departments, I met with those people once a month. For another department, I met with those people once every 3 months, because I had a supervisor just over those folks. And we talked about different things. We talked about the job performance. We talked about whether they wanted to be leaders or not, those few people who we thought had the potential for it. And you need to do that, because what I have found is there's a lot of people in leadership positions, because they're bad at it, who don't know what people are doing throughout the year. Usually what happens is when an employee evaluation comes up, they think about what happened the last 2 weeks, because they can't remember that someone did something great 3 months ago, or even something bad 3 months ago. They just don't remember it. So it's smarter to do it on a more regular basis. But if you can't, you still need to have something where, if you haven't been able to evaluate someone over the course of a year to know if they're eligible for promotion at some point, you're a bad leader. You just are, and I'm calling you out. But if you've been paying attention, then you know which people have that opportunity, and you can present that to someone else. Because here we go to number 4, which is, number 5. Jumped out. Number 5, it says to promote fairly, even if you have to have a committee. So say that you don't have a leadership position under you, but there's leadership positions within the corporation, and some of these people might be able to interchange and learn some of that and go work in another department. Well, now it's out of your hands. But sometimes you find that individuals are the worst at picking someone else to be promoted. So what says that you can't have a company that has a committee, or even more than one committee, for people to promote? When I interviewed for my last full-time job that I had, I actually met with 2 committees. I met with a committee of C-level people, and then I met with a committee of workers, believe it or not. And so I met with both groups. And it worked out well for all of us because each group got to ask their questions and find out if I knew something. And they did that for all the candidates. Well, why not do that for your own employees to promote them? If you don't feel comfortable enough to know who you should promote and to be fair about it, then maybe your company needs to have a committee. But you can't have a committee to evaluate who they should move into a leadership position if no one is recommended. Hence, going back to the employee evaluation, where they also indicate who has leadership potential. And number 6, you have to evaluate your diversity initiatives, successes, failures, whatever, on a yearly basis. You just need to do it if you're going to be fair, if you're looking to have your company grow, if you're looking to have your company become a beacon in the community, where people say, you know what, this is a fair company. They're a good company because they have a diverse population. They take ideas from a lot of different places. But if you're looking for that type of thing, then you need to evaluate it every year. If you only had 2 minority supervisors within your entire company last year, and now you've gone an entire year, and you look back and you still only have 2, you failed. If you didn't have any disabled folks the year before, because there's disabled people everywhere, and you get to this new year and you still don't, you have failed in your initiatives. That's all I'm saying. You need to evaluate it. You need to take it serious if you care. I hope you care. I care. I took my shots at it. Like I said, I went in, I got minorities. I didn't have to worry about women. In my department, they were all women, except for me. So I didn't have to worry about that part. But got minorities, and then eventually someone else hired someone with a disability. It starts somewhere. It gives everyone an opportunity. So, there you go. There's those 6 diversity steps. Let me know your thoughts. My name is Mitch Mitchell. I hope y'all have a wonderful day and a wonderful week. Be safe.